I've been looking at anti-work and work reform on Reddit for months now, and they're saying like, workers of the world unite. Where are these leftist subreddits when the workers are uniting?
Hold on, the anti-work Reddit says, why don't they say like non-workers of the world unite?
Yeah, really.
Isn't there a whole thing that they don't
the funny thing is that anti-work initially was this radical idea that no one should work.
I don't want a job.
It's the stupidest thing ever. And they try and act like they're smart. They're like, well, I was reading a book by Marx and he explains capital. When in reality, they're like lazy, living in their trashed apartments on, government benefits. And they're saying like, but I don't want to walk dogs anymore.
20 hours a week.
And we saw that on Fox, and it was a PR disaster for them. But anti-work evolved into a work reform subreddit after the whole debacle where they did this interview on Fox and were exposed as being people who just didn't want to do any work and were kind of lazy. The work reform subreddit took off. Now, I agree with a lot of work reform. I think, the corporate structure in a lot of ways, a lot of really bad things. I think student loan debt has reached critical mass and the whole system is broken and needs to be totally reformed. But why aren't these people coming out and being like, hey, look, the workers are finally rising up. This is a really good thing. Why don't we stand in solidarity with the working class? Oh, because the actual working class don't believe in their far left psychosis, their insane policies.
They never have. Right. Well, I mean, I think we got the first taste of this after Trump was elected, and it became apparent that right-leaning people tend to be more in touch with what your average working person actually wants, and the Democratic Party doesn't really represent those people. Now it's as clear as it's ever been, but this was not our first view of this.
In like 2018, I had an opportunity to go back to Ohio and live in Ohio for a little while. I'd been in like LA before that, New York, Chicago. I'd been in these big cities. And at first I was back in I was living in a farm town in Ohio, and my friends were like, Trump. And I'm like, Trump, why? Like, right. What's going on? What? And it hurt. It was like being in like some sort of acid, like a pool of acid. It was burning me, but I came out so much stronger because I wasn't being manipulated anymore. I was seeing things from this other like worker's perspective that I'd been just lost. It had been lost to me in the big city for 15 years. It was really incredible. The power of the worker, man. I
want to show you guys this subreddit post from Lockdown Critical Left.
Oh, yes.
This is amazing. It's from 2 days ago. Cool Spectre wrote, workers are uniting in solidarity against an authoritarian government and the left is against it. The trucker convoy is the closest thing to a working class uprising I've seen in my lifetime. I wasn't around in the 60s, and yet the left is somehow against it. Isn't this exactly the kind of thing the left should be supporting? Are there even any working class people on the left anymore? Why do they all seem to be Zoom tech workers or unemployed? Why is the actual working class overwhelmingly not on the left? It's really unsettling to see actual working class unity taking direct action against fascist mandates, and the left is taking the side of the fascists.
Yep.
Except for those of us who have been watching for the past 10 years, it's exactly what's been happening the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I mean, to add another layer here, you have the left literally after, 2 years after the summer of love and these protests and all of this anti-police rhetoric, they are now like begging the police to come in and crack down on a workers.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
the
went from
military.
ACAB. Yeah, now it's ATAB.
Wow. It is Canada, so to be fair, it's a different country. But you're right.
They have BLM protests in Canada too. Yeah,
and Trudeau stood with them, and
Sure
I'm sorry, kneeled with them.
Yeah,
kneeled
that's right.
with them.
Sure
Yeah.
did.
So he bent the knee. Why isn't the working class returning the favor, right? But of course, it's because BLM and these leftist groups never represented the working class in the first place.